during that time, but beneath all that Dipset nostalgia, there are snakeholes, hush money, and a phony pregnant belly fat world. Have people believed that the rot began in 2017, when VH1's reunion specials began to attract stale ratings, and even Mona Scott Chrissy realized she was crying when Young asked if this was too scandalous for cable TV. Q Skills Workam was aware of a solo buzz, which was hampered by half-baked tour flyers and longing for 2005. So what are two hustlers doing under a dusty limelight? A new tragedy arrives in the form of fraudulent baby scheme insiders, which Chrissy's old nail technician was unable to tone down the shady brunch at Harlem Tavern. Chrissy bent over her mimosa, Cam snarled as he tapped his iced-out watch. What if the world believes I am pregnant again? Please keep your mouth shut. That's what I swear, Cam mumbled. If you sell it right, we all eat well. He took out his second phone, not the public one, without flinching from the brunch on baby frauds developed into baby plans. And Chrissy refollowed former brand sponsors on Instagram and made friends with reality show producers who vowed never to collaborate with him again after the 2011 Jim is unaware of the backstage breakdown. Every time she texted him, "I love you, Daddy," even at 2 a.m., Jimmy believed it. In the spring of 2022, when I was secretly organizing silence payments for questionable ultrasound invoices, a suspicious bump began appearing on Chrissy's selfies, claimed, "She's glowing." Meanwhile, Harlem barbershops remarked, "She's beaming. But that belly looks like a pillow." Cam, in the meantime, took advantage of every scrap of authority he had by teasing the squad about giving them fresh life. Mysterious Instagram stories featuring baby symbols and making harsh fun of Jim. A true man admits his flaws, nurtures his kids, and it was a success. Sponsorship opportunities appeared everywhere. Baby brands, motherhood podcasts, maternity photos, and according to one insider, a prominent vitamin business offered Chrissy a 5-figure sum for a pregnant health vlog on YouTube.ok, but they had no idea that her bank account was expanding, not her womb. This is where things become messy, because these two didn't simply act like they were going to OBGYNs. They made the falsehood appear more plausible, as much as feasible. From Jersey, who supposedly had her license revoked in 2018 owing to false medical records, appeared on Cam.Private Danger. The documents contained bogus blood tests, phony sonograms, and phony prenatal appointment invoices, all of which were created on a burner laptop and saved to Anna's gym, as well as blurry bathroom photos featuring Chrissy's artificial bump. Cam was sitting 2 blocks away from a hookah lounge, laughing with his inner demons, and handed over the encrypted USB to Chrissy before any suspicious prawn agent could request confirmation of due dates. Circle Harlem is still dumb enough to buy anything if you admit has some reality TV tears in it. It's not shocking, yet everything might have remained buried as well if it except for one error that even Cam's paranoia couldn't correct. Yes, the same housekeeping employee who discovered a wonderfully flat pregnancy belly band found in a trash can was linked to 3 unused prenatal medication bottles taken from that renowned Midtown hotel room. She sent a photo to a Harlem gossip blogger who was desperate for likes. Within hours, the #Chrissy fake bump trended. Cam's phone was inundated with death threats by people shrieking dips instead of congrats. Even Mona Scott Young, the queen of give me the trash and I'll spin it, refused to return her calls after he stabbed his brother. For clout money, Watit becomes increasingly hot as the leak was only the appetizer. The main dish was followed by bank documents, digital folders, and screenshots of hush money and fraudulent prenatal care disclosed by an anonymous whistleblower who some claim was a dissatisfied intern from Cam's brief podcast venture. I acquired a hotel room. Reservations were made using phony LLC names like Mommy Empire Consulting LLC. And fans did what they do best. Every error and meme was linked, scorching the entire scheme into the next week's tick. Discuss detective match dates. Twitter was ablaze all night about Chrissy's alleged due date for her club gigs, where she somehow had ABs by midnight but a bump during breakfast. Was Jim unprepared for this? Cam's been a snake since a Dipset's first mixtape, you guys. Jim tried to play damage control by posting a prayer hands emoji on Instagram, but if you thought this was the last leak, fasten your seatbelts because Harlem's messiest soap opera is far from the finish. Here are some additional screenshots. Has been released this time from Chrissy's cousin's iCloud private voice notes, burner phone recordings, and a strange agreement with a bogus public relations firm that promised a viral release of pregnancy-related information. Cam vanished without a trace. Harlem knew he was guilty of sin or planning the next chess move because of his cryptic live, sluggish freestyle diss track, and even a single angry tweet. Chrissy, on the other hand, was unable to cover when cameras showed her falling out of a sponsors and ran. When the vitamin brand reimbursed the pregnant photo studio's lawsuit threat, "I left the nail salon with no belly, ring, and no idea how to turn this pre-automobile accident resulted in a new pay." Even worse, one employer wrote vehemently, "We do not condone phony infants and have all collaborations were terminated immediately." And the internet crashed once more. So, if you believe the scam ended at revealed hotel, stop and take a deep breath. Clouds. It was the ticking time bomb that burst Harlem's final fairy tale romance, shattering fidelity and prompting when Tori and Cam were going to be subjected to a federal audit. Something unexpected occurred. It also reintroduced some former friends into the shady spotlight that they claimed to have left behind. If you thought Harlem gossip would finally end, think again. Part 2 is about to. You thought the barbershop rumors and Twitter memes were enough to expose the hoax. You'll wish this was just lousy. Chrissy and Camron not only revealed the real Harlem with their reality TV show, but they also flicked a switch that transformed the dusty backstage secrets of Harlem into a federal sideshow. Nobody, not even Mona Scott with her impenetrable NDAs, could sweep. 2 days after the Chrissy fake bump broke the trending charts, the same irate intern who threw out the hotel band invoices and the burner laptop screenshots kept doing so. This is how everything went south beneath the reunion rug. A whistleblower published a single encrypted file titled Mommy Empire PR Plan _final on a dubious message board. It contained a wealth of emails and WhatsApp conversations and signed pitches showing how Chrissy, Cam, and 2 dubious PR managers. The first public expose. The second phase is a fake ultrasound leak. And the third phase is a paparazzi bump sighting. A 6-month viral parenting story featured a Phase 4 brand contract that resulted in a Phase 5 strategic miscarriage. Arc. Was used to persuade fans to line up with tissue boxes and hashtags begging with VH1 to air a special reunion. The plot for Sympathy and Reunion stated that, in addition to staging a pregnancy, they intend to stage sadness when half of the internet saw the bullet point explosion in Harlem. They requested that Chrissy be blacklisted from all networks. Had ever promised her a reunion check, and the other half cried. Cam was the evil puppet master genius, prompting the Queen of Harlem to Jim Jones, who called to himself as the last devoted king of Harlem, went in the meantime, forget about the praying hands. Over 200,000 spectators watched him sit in a dark studio room with his voice half off and trembling as he shouted into the phone, forgetting the spiritual words. "Have you ever loved someone so deeply that you allowed Munu twice?" He said on Instagram Live, citing his own receipts. "You people are laughing at me, but I was acting as the father of a deception that she and Cam planned behind my back." Supporters filled the chat room, shouting "Remain strong, King. You deserve to be treated better." The more Jim poured his heart out, the more Cam had to pay for his treason. The more the timeline collapsed in real time, the more TikTok editors stitched together videos of him sobbing with old Dipset footage, trapping millions in a never-ending cycle of nostalgia and agony. The whistleblower's partial bank ledgers, which were submitted alongside that PR filing. Tax officials were suspicious of transfers made under phony PayPal invoices from catering, stacks of $2,500 wire payments for the FBI and IRS to an LLC named Harlem's Events, disguised Aspie Sunrise. The prenatal health consultancy had created a breadcrumb trail with extra cheese, and word quickly spread throughout. According to speculations, Homeland Security raided one of Cam's previous Queens studios around 500 a.m. in quest of backup CDs, and one gossip blogger even released a grainy image of Etha Street, yelled Rico, and the racketeering camera stayed in, while the black SUV was parked outside. Chrissy's cousin's condo was in ghost mode, with no shady bar or freestyle clapback. Alleged that the feds were questioning her cousin for hush money receipts. Instagram has no petty tweets with instead of sobbing or laughing emojis. There is radio silence, which is more horrifying to Cam than any diss track. Everyone in Harlem knows that when he is silent, he is preparing something dangerous. Meanwhile, Chrissy thought she was left to die alone after being seen by cameras twice in 2 days. The first time she ducked behind Etha, second time she sobbed while driving a rented car. She was wearing sunglasses that were bigger than her face. She allegedly duped a maternity store by giving her free baby bump props, and before the brand apologized, she taunted the brand on Instagram with a nasty comment and abandoned her. "We want Miss Lampkin to recuperate and reflect. And Harlem's few don't even begin told you all that Chrissy was trouble." So imagine the beauty stores full with elderly ladies clucking their mouths when the chef forced Jimmy to have a lip tattoo instead of a traditional wedding, which is petty accurate in Harlem. The unforeseen twist is that just as the public relations disaster was burning every pocket in Harlem, a new participant two anonymous Reddit disclosures, Shadows, the alleged puppet master of money, urged the intern to reveal all about a shady former manager named Reggie, who supposedly handled Cam's traveling gigs. When Reggie heard that Cam was using hush money to pay a phony baby scheme while still owing him money, she appeared to develop animosity before Cam abandoned him for stealing club checks in the mid-2010s. The man allegedly went complete whistleblower, sending the interns screenshots, bloggers' hush tapes, and even a voice memo with Cam ranting on the phone to a podcast. For Chrissy was informed as well. And everyone from Harlem to Brooklyn, including Mona Scott, dropped their mouths when that voicemail landed on the timeline. Young was the well-known ringmaster of TV Ratchet. "Keep wailing. Move the stuff. Dude. We earn more." When people think she's suffering, Circus Reunions had to issue a dry PR statement. "Girl, you can't. Miss Lampkin is not currently contracted with any of our performances, and we have no comment on unconfirmed." Says Lima. Overnight, Cam lost a mid-tier booze endorsement, and his name was discreetly removed from suspected Dipset, while the puppet master's receipts bounced from blog to blog, and the companies continued to flee like roaches. In the morning.com, allegedly requested a $50,000 advance in a text conversation shared by a promoter for the anniversary tour, offering the baby plan. Reaction was supposed to end quickly, but it didn't, and the most heinous leak to date was kept a secret. A screenshot of a group message provided by Reggie to a YouTube blogger was seen by Cam, Chrissy, and a public relations specialist discussing which gossip blogs they would pay to erase any negative headlines if the false baby rumor escalated. "I added a small message to keep Jim in the dark until the problem was under control." Guess what? By this moment, not only had Jim learnt, but the entire globe had. Dipset's once unbreakable brotherhood has been destroyed. Like a trash heap in Harlem, in addition to Instagram memes, contracts ruined friendships, corporate sponsorships, and friendships with government. SNITCHES. Cam and Chrissy were now concerned about whether hush payments had been accurately reported due to a possible federal tax investigation. And where was Jim in all of this? He's still healing and upset, right? Harlem's last faithful king has entered the studio, and there are reports that a new disc album, titled Faked and Betrayed, will be released shortly. A few clever snippets of raw savage bars were leaked on Twitter, with no features. Chrissy with the gym dragging Cam, and all the false baby props from Midtown to Miami. If you thought this clown show the Puppet Master whisper, network states that a final Cam and Chrissy negotiated a hush agreement that conceals the specific amount of bogus baby money transmitted behind Jim's back and how it was done, in a lawyer safe, laundered through false charity donations. And if that document makes it to the IT, will not only tarnish Dipset's legacy, but it may also bring down several well-known sponsors. Homeland Security is already sniffing around, and the streets are salivating over the third and final receipts portion. It's coming. And it's the dagger Harlem has been hoping for. Since even the vermin in the gutter will feel bad for Jim Jones. If you got it thus far without clutching your imaginary pearls, prepare for the next and blink, because part 3 of this phony baby story is where we burn down every last secret, resulting in catastrophe. Doesn't just hammer the last nail in Dipset's coffin, it puts the entire Harlem rumor ecosystem into a tailspin. Remember Reggie's hush file? It's so intense that even the block's elderly are fleeing. The so-called smoking gun was hinted at. And for weeks, rumors circulated in the streets that only 2 people had copy. Him and a dubious entertainment lawyer, who used to manage Cam's side company when his tax difficulties were in Harlem, forgot that secrets do not stay imprisoned when everyone's allegiance is in hold. 2 days after Reggie's group chat breach and 1 week after Jim's terrible live diatribe, the hush went viral without a massive tabloid drop. Only one anonymous Google Drive link was used in the podcast's private comments sections of every post. The link, which alluded to Chrissy Cam or false babies, quickly became a global trend. outlined how revenue from the so-called baby narrative would be divided between Chrissy Cam, a dubious objian, and the gold mining contracts were signed using UndiWire instructions. And a grainy PDF stamped final split agreement in large red letters. Jim was kept in the dark until the very end. After all, sponsor payments had been cleared by a gossip PR fixer who sold the story to advertisers and concealed a side note in the same file. Every page was screen captured. TikTok. Investigators used old footage of Jim kissing Chrissy's tummy to create cruel memes and tweet real-time breakdowns. On stage. Now captioned with clowns and crying emojis, all over the world gasped, laughed, and shared it with their messiest group chats, and it spread like a digital wildfire that no lawyer could put out. A hungry blogger caught her mother-in-law, Mama Jones, in the midst of a rant outside her favorite hair salon. She did not apologize or employ a filter. Instead, she spat out the words Harlem has been waiting for. Jim is heartbroken, ashamed, and suffering from atheist sponsors move faster than any publicity Chrissy's people get. Even Cam can't handle such a large legal bill. She posted on social media about a designer store attempting to sue her for brand harm caused by her association with a phony company that advertised baby vitamin deals. Cancelled branded maternity shoots. Demanded Cam did what only Cam can do. He issued harsh refunds as the story progressed, dollar for dollar, instead of crying behind a lawyer's statement or making a tearful apology video. Ma'am got on alive, sweatshirt halfway off. Loyalty is dead, and he's the only one real enough to admit he killed it himself, he said. Smiling as he sipped from Akramson cup while wearing a chain dance on his breast and smirking at the 50,000 people watching him. Dubbed himself Harlem's favorite villain, my favorite villain. Despite the number of snake and clown emojis in the comments section, half of the audience applauded because Harlem adores a villain who says things that everyone else finds too false to say. Jim did not reply. Instead of another clumsy performance, he did what he does best. He landed in the booth. 3 days later, an unpolished freestyle named No More Puppets debuted on SoundCloud. It was just raw pain articulated in words without a beat. Fans into every Harlem block, with vehicle speakers blasting the song like a memorial to all Dipset has ever represented. Jim's voice shook as he yelled out line after line of betrayal, fake tears, and brotherhood becomes graveyard. By midnight. However, amid melancholy and clown memes, the true hounds of the federal government appeared. Homeland Security identified suspicious cash tied to the false charity fund. And word, immediately, spread on the internet that Chrissy and Cam had made a push. It turns out that their so-called Moms Foundation provided no financial help to poor mothers throughout the bump plan. Instead, it mailed brand checks to them directly under the Boggies Corporation invoices. Ah, this is no longer an influence. In drama, it's wire, since Harlem knows deep down that this was more than just fake belly bands and scams. The laughter in a federal courtroom. Fraud-bearer Shop began making jokes about the upcoming Dipset reunion special, which muffled out the sadness. Notaires, on VH1, post captions on Instagram. The receipts showed that the family, who had once been the last bastion of undiluted allegiance on stage, would sell each other out for a messy reward and a viral hashtag, just when they thought the leaks had stopped. The dirt accumulated. A name appeared on a janky YouTube video that looked like a ghost from an old mixtape. Credit. Lil Moo is an elderly guitar guy who used to carry Cam's duffel bags back when flip phones were the norm. While Jim waited in the neighboring room, thinking he had finally locked down his eternal queen, he claimed to have backup. Discs carrying unreleased audio notes of Cam chuckling with Chrissy about baby check paw yddas. Files in strange tweets, suggesting that he would, if the funds run out, either sell them to the highest bidder or, in the worst-case scenario, hand them over to Homeland Security as additional proof. It was Harlem's final grim joke, and even the rats had receipts. And Mona Scott Young, the lady who caused all this turmoil, was nowhere to be seen. She was a ghost, with no remarks or dubious reunions, only rumors that she was on vacation abroad. Paying her crisis PR crew treble charges to spin every what about the fans who stuck with Jim out of sorrow, played that freestyle like every bark. Even the queen of marketed reality drama couldn't make this garbage into a good episode arc. The others simply took a step back, dropping the final blade that revealed how phony devotion had always been. Some even went so far as to proclaim Cam the most authentic serpent Harlem has ever produced. Ferocious, although honest lawyers lingered like vultures, looking for the first hush money, with sans messages pinging inboxes and federal agents shaking their heads at each new the story, and the Dipset emblem from their profile images informed curious bloggers that grand juries were being prepared in case any more fake checks for charitable purposes appeared. Reggie, the puppet master who enjoyed in all of these disclosures, disappeared again. Most likely, they're counting the stillness. Jim's last post before permanently disappearing from social media was a black square. Harlem needed to hear 3 words written in small white font. Loyalty isn't genuine. There was a flood of comments. The dream had died. It did not represent unity. It was simply paperwork and performance. Thousands of people consoled him, while others laughed at him. He was ignoring the warning indications. Some think that Cam still has more secrets buried somewhere. Some predict Chrissy's lawyer will collect a payment from all the brands that are now acting foolishly about ever partnering with her. Others believe that the final scandal will bury them all once. He may release an untitled mixtape, telling his side of the story. Harlem will never forget the non-existent baby bump. The deception turned street king